Out on the scorched edge of the frontier, where the land cracked like old leather and hope thinned with every mile of dust, lived a poor rancher named Silas Boone, a man whose hands were calloused by honest work and whose pockets were light enough to turn inside out without shame. And though his ranch once rang with cattle bells and laughter, drought had stolen both sound and fortune until only one thin cow remained, ribs showing like a confession, and even that cow was promised to the bank by winter. Silas rose before dawn each day to mend what could still be mended, telling himself that grit was a kind of wealth. Yet hunger has a way of stripping a man of poetry, and when word spread through the trading post of a woman passing through who offered a strange bargain, marriage in exchange for a healthy cow, Silas laughed like everyone else until laughter tasted like dust and his stomach answered with pain. The woman arrived at sunset riding a slow mule, broad-shouldered and heavy-set, her dress plain and practical, her face unpainted by charm, and though the town had branded her with whispers, calling her a fat stranger, judging her before she spoke, she stood before Silas with calm eyes and a voice steady as stone, saying she needed a husband for protection and legitimacy, that she had means but little trust, and that she would trade a strong cow for vows honored and space respected. Silas felt the heat crawl up his neck as pride wrestled hunger. But winter doesn't wait for dignity, and so the wedding was arranged with a borrowed ring, a preacher who smelled of whiskey and mercy, and a sky indifferent to bargains made by desperate souls. That night, with the lamp burning low and the wind scratching the walls, Silas approached the bedroom with a mix of nerves and gratitude only to hear the door close and the bolt slide home, and from behind the wood came her voice, firm, unafraid, telling him she would lock the door, that she would not be touched, not yet, not until. Truths were told and trust earned, and Silas stood there stunned, then ashamed of his own assumptions, and slept on a bench while the new cow outside chewed hay like a promise kept. Morning brought work, and with it the woman, who called herself Eliza, proved stronger than rumor, hauling water, repairing fences, cooking meals that warmed bones and softened silence, and though she spoke little, her presence steadied the land, as if the ranch recognized her resolve. Days stretched into weeks, the locked door remaining not a wound but a boundary, and Silas learned to speak without asking for more than she offered, learned to listen to the way her hands trembled when thunder rolled, learned that laughter could be quiet and still be real, and one evening by the fire Eliza told her story in pieces, of being valued only for what she could provide, of men who saw her body before her will, of a life spent learning to survive by choosing terms instead of pleading for mercy, and Silas answered, with his own truths, of losing his father young, of debts that chased him like ghosts, of agreeing to a bargain he feared had cost him his honor. And in that shared honesty something shifted, not passion but respect taking root like grass after rain. The door stayed locked by choice, not fear, until one night Eliza left it open without a word, and Silas understood that trust is not announced, it is offered, and he met it with patience rather than entitlement. Seasons turned, the ranch healed, calves were born, neighbors who once mocked now asked how a dying spread had found life, and Silas knew the answer was not the cow but the courage of a woman who refused to be small to make others comfortable. And when love finally came, it arrived quietly, built from mornings worked side by side and evenings shared in peace. A partnership forged not by bargain but by choice. This is a story about how judgment blinds us to strength, how desperation can open doors to grace, and how the richest marriages are not bought or sold but patiently earned. And if the story stirred something in you, if it reminded you that real value often wears a humble face, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories that stay with you long after the dust settles.